This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for Avoid the Maze. And Avoid the Maze today is going to be piggybacking on one of our other podcasts that we've been doing regularly called The Rant. And The Rant has been hosted with Barbara Rose Brooker. And when you read the show notes, you're going to have a lot of information about all of my guests. Today, though, on Avoid the Maze, we're going to be talking about ageism. And, you know, we're all going through it. When you're a little kid, okay, you're growing up. That's okay to grow up when you're a little kid. But then you get to be around 50, 60, 70, 80. And the question is, are we old? Are we still growing up? Who are we? But the four of us who are going to be on the show today, we all know who we are. We know there's Marilyn. We know that we are vital individuals. And so I want to introduce Nancy and Marilyn to you, because Nancy and Marilyn, over the years, as Nancy said a little while ago, before they knew they were getting old, they started doing one women or two women shows about aging. So give us a little bit of background. And Nancy, I'm told you're the funny one between you and Nancy.
Marilyn. No, you got it wrong. Marilyn.
Oh, Marilyn is.
Yes,
okay.
But I think I've learned a little bit from her, Karen. I've got some humor myself now. So like I said, Marilyn actually got me up on a stage singing and dancing in our two-woman show, Boomer Babes, otherwise known as the Dry Vagina Monologues. So she is the performer, though. I'll let her tell you a little bit about her comic background.
Okay.
Do you want to hear, like I was living in a cul-de-sac, and then before I knew it, I got accidentally got a NBC sitcom. Is that the part you want to know about? It was really a weird thing. My next door neighbor and I were just needed to get out of the house. And we started something called Comedy Camp for Mommies up here in the Bay Area. I live up here in San Francisco Bay Area. And Caryl was my neighbor, and we put together a show. We call it was a show for women who don't want sex more than once a month. And so, and this was back when I had teenagers and a little one, a 5-year-old. So my teenagers gave me so much material. I really didn't have to do anything but watch them and report it. I mean, I come into the house sometimes, and my son would be lying on the couch, and his girlfriend would be lying on top of him, and I carrying groceries, and I'm looking, going, get up. Get off him. Blush. So anyway, those were the days. We were seen by some people at NBC, and before we knew it, we had a sitcom, and we weren't really good. We weren't really good actors or anything, and the writers wrote as though we were the Golden Mommies or something. It was just little joke, big joke. You know, oh shoot, stop it. JP Morgan Chase. Oh man, I just didn't pay the bill, and it's just because it went from $200 to $600.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Just PG&E, just because, not I did anything.
Right.
It just did. Anyway, so.
And then fast forward to Caryl and Marilyn had their sitcom, The Mommies.
Yeah.
And then they got a daytime
talk show. Yes, we got to do an ABC talk show, and that's where I met Nancy.
Yes, I came in as her executive producer.
Yes.
And we had a great time on that show. It was called Caryl and Marilyn, Real Friends. They didn't want to call it The Mommies because they were afraid the focus group.
And you know what they used to make us do too? Every time any photographers came around, they'd say, okay, girls, go back to back. So we'd have to go, Caryl and Marilyn. It was so annoying. It was annoying.
That show was on prior to The View coming on.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember what year it was, Marilyn?
I think 76.
76.
I know.
97.
I remember that show. I could swear that I've seen, now that I'm looking at you both, I remember that show.
Well, I was a brunette. This is
Marilyn?
COVID.
It's gorgeous. Oh, it's so gorgeous.
Thank you.
Marilyn was the brunette and Caryl was the blonde and I was the producer behind the scenes.
Right.
It's
But
fabulous.
We had a great time. And when the show ended, we started an art colony
That's
for
right.
women called The Colony.
Yeah.
Actually, Marilyn's teenage daughter taught us how to paint in oils.
Yes.
And we started exhibiting our work. I mean, we were in some galleries and then out of that, Marilyn and I said, let's do retreats for women.
Yes.
Where we teach them how to
I
tap.
was 55 at that time. And
Right.
you were in your 40s, right?
I was 44.
Oh,
it was
but see,
considered
anything-
old then. 55 was considered old then.
Right.
40 was.
40 was. God
Right.
forbid.
Well, at least in LA. In LA, we had our work cut out for us. In
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah.
Yes, in the land of Botox, in the land of construction and reconstruction.
Yes.
So Marilyn and I started doing these retreats. And one day at one of the retreats, I think I said to Marilyn, we should write a book about this.
Yeah.
And so Marilyn said, well, it has to have 10 steps because, it's really important when you go on a show to have 10 steps. So we wrote.
But okay, let me interrupt. We really only wrote 9 steps, but it's a better 10. So we just kind of repeated ourselves on the 10th step.
Why not?
So we wrote this book, Not Your Mother's Midlife, a 10-step guide.
Oh, wait,
to
is that your
fearless
book?
aging.
Well, okay, I see.
Not Your Mother's
Can you
Midlife.
still
a
get the
10-step
book?
guide to
Can you
fearless
still
aging.
get the book on Amazon?
Yes,
Okay.
you can still order the book. You might have to go to eBay because there's definitely copies out there in existence. And so we wrote that book and then we did our stage show. And then we wrote another book, a photo essay book called Fearless Women Midlife Portraits. It was a collaboration with a photographer that featured women in midlife that proved that midlife is the best time of life.
Yeah.
Well,
It was set up for women who were giving to the world.
Right.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
women like,
Idea.
yeah, it was women like Erin Brockovich.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Joni Mitchell was in the book and many other women, famous and not famous.
Mhm.
Well,
I
I
love
hope
that.
as our listeners and viewers are watching this,
Mhm.
they're getting a real essence that all of us, somewhere around our 40s, we were told we were getting old. Okay. I had my youngest son when I was 40. And I remember one of the nurses coming in and saying, well, you have a beautiful son. I'm sorry if you weren't prepared for this. And I wanted to choke her because we went through insemination to have this child. And it was like, so you're assuming because I'm 40 years old, this is an accident.
Mhm.
And for years, I would tell people, I'm not old. I may be 40, but I'm like a 20-year-old because I've got this new baby.
Yeah, I
And
gotcha.
for me,
it's still that way. I published my first book at 50 and I was told that I couldn't get a publicist at the time
Yeah.
because it was done, so it's been a fight through the industry all
Yeah.
the way now that I'm 85. It's a constant fight. But it's the attitude. Don't you think it's the attitude?
Oh,
of
absolutely.
culture?
It's just that some women forget how to reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
that's
They think
exactly
it's
it.
too late.
Mhm. And that's what we're here for, is just to encourage some of the changes and a change in outlook, because I was 45 when I got the sitcom.
Which really was. And when was that? That was an
That was
enormous
in the
feat.
90s, yeah.
Well, that was enormous. And unfortunately, age shouldn't define anything, but when
Right.
it comes to the media in the industry, it does. We're called anti-age all the time.
Mhm.
You never
Oh,
hear
yeah.
pro-age. It's always anti-age.
I
isn't it?
know, isn't
Cindy
that the truth?
Crawford's fucking melons. It's language. I'm gonna be good, Karen. I
But-
promise.
Barbara, as you've discussed on the rant, if somebody wants to do the Botox, if somebody wants to do, spend thousands of dollars on treatments, that's a personal choice. Okay.
Yeah,
And it should have nothing to do with the rest of us saying, you know what? I may be 72 years old, but I can start a second business, and watch for my announcement soon. But there's nothing to stop us. Okay.
that's
The
not
only
true.
thing that
though,
can
in my
stop us is us.
It
What did you
does
say?
stop us because people are watching. We're not talking about us and these two fabulous women who have done so much and are doing so much. We're talking about the ads coming up that you're not going to be happy or have anything in your life if you don't buy this serum or get the filler. So all these women, young women, are walking around with their chins on their heads and their lips out to the, and this is what we're looking at right now. So it stops a lot of, who knows, a lot of women who maybe don't have that drive or the energy or the purpose. They're too afraid to because of their age.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
a
think-
mind. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Marilyn. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Well, it's a mindset, actually.
Mhm.
It isn't to do with as much with your physical. I do believe it's your choice. When I was 40, I got an eye job in San Francisco by Dr. Seuss. Do you remember? Do you know about him? He tries
Wait,
to
you
call.
live in San Francisco? Me too.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'll have to.
And I was like, he worked on thing 1 and thing 2. But his real name was Dr. Seuss. He tried to call himself Dr. Suss, but it was
Oh, that's
spelled like
so
Seuss.
funny. That's so funny. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We have nothing against, enhancements, but I mean, it is out of control. And here in LA,
Right.
they even do elbow
Oh.
lifts.
Yeah.
Right. Of course
Elbow
it's-
lifts.
Elbow lifts. Can
Oh
you
my-
imagine? Like that's going to make a
Wait,
difference in your
You're
life.
doing elbow lifts?
Yeah, they do elbow lifts.
Oh,
Remember
I
that
know
has-
they do the hands and the.
They have the hand jobs, which is
But
gives a whole
elbow
meaning.
lifts,
Yeah, a
isn't
whole new
that
meaning to hand
sad?
job.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Elbow lifts, but that's going to make a difference. Like the guy at the bar is going to say, "Hey, check out the woman with the hot elbows," right?
I love it. So can you describe what your retreats are like? Because
Yes.
there's going to be people listening going like, what is it? And can I start something like that?
Oh, we want people to do that. Absolutely. Our book is set up for people to gather and read it like a reading group or, book club, except for they do all the we have a lot of pieces in it that exercises, and Nancy, name a couple of the exercises.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at some of the chapters here. And the first chapter is on accepting your age, because, you really can't move forward unless you accept what you have. So
Right.
we encourage women to accept it. And here's an activity in that chapter called Reason to Be Proud. List some of the contributions for which your generation is known. For example, are you part of a generation that carries high work ethics, created rock and roll? So really be proud of what your generation did. I mean, were you the first generation where women really became powerhouses in the workforce? Most likely. There's always a reason to be proud of the age you are.
Yeah.
So we have all kinds of activities. Here's an activity called Recognize It. Is there someone in your life who's trying to handle tough times? Write this person a note acknowledging how you see their courage. So we have visualizations in the book
Mhm.
that we've been doing a class recently called Fearless Aging.
Mhm.
And we've been doing some of those visualizations with the class, and they love them.
That's
Yeah.
good.
We've been doing it on Zoom right now.
Yeah.
Eventually we'll get back to doing seminars, but it isn't quite time yet.
I love
Is it-
Zoom. I think Zoom can be intimate, like we're all visiting. I think
Right.
it's great you're doing that.
Yes, and we don't like to have more than 5 people in each group so that they can feel heard. They have a chance to talk without, can I get myself,
Right.
my ideas in? So we keep it to a very small class of it.
Fabulous. It's age pride.
Yeah, yes,
That's wonderful.
yes,
We have gay pride, we need age pride.
yes. Oh, I love that.
Well, it's part of my age march, which I'll tell you about later.
Oh, I want to hear everything.
Yeah.
Well, do tell.
Tell us.
Well, I'm just saying that when I was in my 30s as a single mom, and I went to college for the first time,
Mm.
and I had to wear a Velcro name tag that said reentry woman. And I was really angry about the ageism then, and then publishing my first novel at 50, and I was starting to feel ageism. So I decided to form the first age march in history. And I wanted everyone of every age, every gender, every sexuality, every race to celebrate age pride. So I gave my first age march in 2009 in San Francisco, Nancy. The Marina Greens, around Greens. And I gave about 4 over the years, 1 in LA. And then in 2020, in March, I had the first virtual age march. And it was produced by some really good Hollywood producers, that kind of thing. And right now I have over 200,000 views, and I have agemarch.org. I hope you'll go on agemarch.
Absolutely.
So you will be in the next age march.
I want to. And also I'm up here and I'm live in Emeryville. So
we're neighbors.
We're neighbors. We're going to play.
That sounds good.
But I think you both are, not only have you done such great things and you're really stars in the industry, but you're doing so much now to enhance age pride, which is just as important as the Botox.
Yes.
And doing your seminars that your Utah. Oh, I think that's fabulous. I'm going to put that all on the agemarch.org.
Oh,
I need your faces on there.
So Marilyn, I have a question for you and Nancy, because I work with a gentleman who provides home care for, as they say, the elders, okay, rather than going into a nursing home or something else. And what I'm hearing from a lot of people that are my age, and I'm 72, they're saying, well, when are my children going to think that I need home care or what I have to go into a facility? We need to let people know that it's not based on our age. It's really based on our health issues.
True.
My mother lived independently until she was 96 and a half. Sadly, she had a stroke, and I moved in with her for 2.5 months before she passed away. But I was so grateful that my mother was an independent woman for the majority of her life. Yet I had friends who kept saying to me, don't you think your mother needs nursing care? Don't you think your mother? No, she didn't. Okay. She wasn't driving. So we had somebody who took her grocery shopping, but independent. How do we get that word out that we don't need all these fancy facilities for those of us who are healthy and have, our faculties in place?
Age pride again. Purpose. Unity. Purpose.
We all, yes, purpose. That's also in our book about to find your purpose. We and start something new and
yes,
and do something that makes others feel good about themselves.
Yes.
Yes, and when you walk into a room, look at everyone, take in the room and see what it is you can learn from someone else.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly. And that's what you're doing. Are
Yeah.
you going to do another show?
Well, a friend of mine and I, not Caryl moved back to Petaluma. I'm so excited.
I know.
But she doesn't want to do grandma. She doesn't want to do the grandmommies. And and I really shouldn't, because I have 3 grandchildren, but one I really don't like. And so
Oh, I love, there's a show right there.
I know, but I can't do it. I would so offend my son. But we're talking about, I'm talking about it with a friend of mine. Her name is Derry, and we're talking about putting together a show. You know, it's a show for the elderly.
Do you hate that word? Do you
Well,
hate that
we're calling
word?
ourselves geezer girls.
Okay, that's good. That's funny. It's
We love it.
irreverent.
Mhm.
An elder. Oh, I won't turn around if somebody refers to me as an elder.
I know.
I would love to see another show, Marilyn.
Thank you.
And Marilyn had a one-woman show called Will I Ever Wear a Bikini Again?
I know, I read about that. And
Yes.
I absolutely
Yes.
loved. Where was that?
I did it up here, but also in LA. What happened was, when I was performing in LA, my husband, living up in Berkeley, was he died of a heart attack, and we didn't know.
I know.
I mean, he was on the floor for quite a long time with nobody, because I was in LA performing. So I stopped performing after that.
Yeah.
And then a friend said, come on, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make women feel good about themselves. So we're talking about it already.
You have such
Right.
a great voice. Both of you have the voice in your, I'm already laughing. I did give a show based on the Viagra Diaries at the Commonwealth Club.
Oh, love it.
This was 8 years ago, and really it was a big showing. And they treated me like, oh my God, this is really great, but I don't know, with this elder crowd, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, this label, elder and senior, and this were people who are lucky enough to live.
Right.
Lucky enough to live and breathe.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's funny, because when COVID first started happening, and so you have to really be careful with the elderly. And then
I know.
I realized about me.
That's me, exactly.
I'm elderly. I'll be 75 this coming August. So
August. August what?
August 10th.
I'm August 21st. We're Leos.
Oh.
And you know, the interesting part is when they said that second booster was available. In Ohio, they said, you know, you had to be 65 or older to get it. So my husband and I would go into Walgreens to get our shots.
Right.
And the pharmacist, who's probably known us for 50 years, she looks at us and she goes, no, you can't get your boosters. And I said, why? You're not old enough. And very proudly, the two of us just ripped out our driver's license and showed it to us. Yes, we are. And we are so glad to be old enough now.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, my parents taught me a long time ago that you have to embrace every stage of your life.
Yes.
Because what is the alternative?
Yeah.
And my father had heart problems his whole life. And I can't tell you how many times we got calls saying, you know, get to the hospital, your dad, he's not going to even be alive when you get there. And we get there and he'd be sitting up, you know, asking for his pipe, you know. So, but I saw that if he could do that, why can't I?
Here's the thing. How about the young people? They're suffering too. They're told they're too young. They don't have experience. And again, it's an overall invasive attitude in our
Absolutely.
Ageism all the way around.
Yes.
That's why I think that our first step in our book, in Not Your Mother's Midlife, Accept It, is such an important one.
Yes.
Because so many women are in denial, and the more women lie about their age,
Hide it.
do tons of plastic surgery, they're not really an accurate representative of their age. I'm proud to say how old I am.
I
Absolutely.
Aren't
know. And
you?
you both look so great too.
Me
You
too.
know, the thing is, what you just said is true. They're hiding behind the plastic surgery.
Mhm. Mhm.
That to me is kind of sad.
Yeah, well, when I got it, I was 40.
But that
So that was so long. If you look closely, I need another one, but I don't, I don't want to get one.
cover up on my bags,
Yeah.
and the jowls, I usually wear a scarf.
Yeah, I put a lot of makeup on my face.
But who cares? It's
Yeah.
the general voice and attitude. But you're right. They're hiding behind it, and you can't really hide behind age.
No. And the other thing you need to know, we're talking about some of the things that come with aging. Our second step is take a good look at what to expect, because the more we are prepared for some of these things that happen when we're older,
True.
the better we'll be able to handle them, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
That's true.
And
That's
it's about
true.
time that as women, we're not afraid to talk about those things that are coming
Right.
ahead.
Yeah.
Kind of free. With the new Supreme Court, we may not, we're going to be, like that show with the orange robes, Elizabeth Atten.
Oh, yes.
The
Yeah.
handmaid, we're gonna be the handmaid.
Handmaid's
Yeah.
Tale. Yeah. Well, we're not.
No,
They
We're-
are.
no, we're not.
We're too old for it.
Right. No, I'm screaming until the end. I
So
decided-
Marilyn and Nancy, this retreat concept that you have, if our
Yeah.
listeners are saying, hey, this is so important, I want to put something like this together, can they contact you to
Yeah.
have you help them through it?
Should we give them our emails? Marilyn, your email is simple to remember.
Okay. It's my name, Marilyn Kentz, MARILYN, KEN like Nancy, T like Tom, Z like zebra, Marilyn Kentz, 44 at Gmail.
And they
Okay.
can write us if they're interested in taking our Fearless Aging virtual course.
Yeah.
We're just now going into session 5. It was 5 sessions, and I want to talk about some of the things we covered in that. The session 1 was the highs and lows of being old. Session 2 was all about self-confidence. Session 3 was let go of what's not working. Session 4 was shore up spiritually. And our next session, the last session, is find a new passion, make a difference.
Oh, I
Love that.
I love all the topics.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah.
It's really about humanity.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're doing those classes ongoing. So they can reach out to Marilyn Kentz 44 at gmail.com if they're interested in taking that on Zoom.
Absolutely.
I don't know why I did the 44. I think it might be my waistline or something.
I
That's
don't
not
think
the year you were born. That's not the year you were born.
Yeah, I'm born in 47.
I'm definitely going to network those.
Oh, great.
workshops. It's
Well,
so. Marilyn and Nancy, how did you get to know each other? Where did you meet along the line?
Well, she was my executive producer, and she wasn't like a normal
That's amazing.
executive producer.
In what way, Marilyn?
Well, because she was fun and funny, and man, that lady can dress. She had the cutest clothes. Oh, this is me. I go deep and I go shallow, deep, shallow, deep. But so anyway, and Nancy, we just became good friends. We were soulmates, and so
Yes, definitely. And I was childless when I met Marilyn,
yes,
and I was hell-bent on having a child. And I went through many, many things in order to do that. I went through in vitro, I went through an egg donor, I had a failed adoption, I had a horrific adoption scam. And then
Wow.
finally, Yeah, then finally adopted my son Wyatt in 2001.
Blessing.
And then, as Karen knows, he regressed into autism at around 2.5, 3 years old. And so that was another journey for me. So Marilyn, being the mommies, Caryl and Marilyn were very supportive of my effort to become a mother and did all kinds of things. I remember Marilyn made me a necklace with a Madonna on it to wear for good luck. They did fertility rituals around me, dancing and chanting. And
Yes, we did.
you did, yes. And ultimately, Wyatt, my son, I found out about my son on 9/11, on the actual day.
Wow.
I was watching the Trade Center towers collapse, and I got a call from the adoption attorney, and that was the same adoption attorney that had set me up with the scam artist. So I was a little bit reticent. I said, you set me up with this scam artist. I don't know that I trust you now. And they said, well, just come in and see this birth mother's picture. And which I did. And I couldn't fly out of LAX because it was closed. And I flew out of Burbank and went to Arizona to meet the birth mother. And Wyatt was born on 11/9, exactly
Wow.
2 months later.
Just 2 months
Yeah.
later. Absolutely.
So
Well,
that's my story.
And for those of you who don't know about autism, I just want you to say it's a wide spectrum disorder, but each and every child on the spectrum grows into being adults. And we have to open up our hearts more.
Right.
That's all I can say. Nancy and I have talked the fact that my son is extremely high functioning, and yet he was discounted most of his life. And last week we were excited to announce that he has a dream job that he's been wanting. He's moving to the state of New York without us. And he's living his dream. And Wyatt is living his dream with his beautiful artwork.
Oh, his
And every
artwork.
time you post it, Nancy, all I can say, is like, wow. And we have to encompass each and every one of us, whether it's age or some form of different ability.
Right.
Nancy,
Right.
you've been a great mom.
My son is lower functioning than your son, and he's probably going to need a lifetime of support. I'm looking right now, he's in vocational school and he graduates in about 1.5 years. And I was on the phone yesterday with various work training programs and day programs. So I'm looking at, planning his future right now.
Absolutely.
So the art is just, I'm just holding my heart because that's everything.
Yeah, he has that outlet, which is great.
Oh, it's wonderful for the public as well. I can't wait to see his cows.
Yes.
So good.
Well,
Yeah, but I didn't have a clue. I mean, when we wrote our books, we were both married. Now we're both widows. My husband died after a very long battle with cancer.
I read that too.
Yeah. So, and Marilyn told you about how Richard passed away. And so we really hadn't experienced some of the hardships that were to come when we wrote our book. We didn't really have a clue of what was ahead. And now I feel like we are much better equipped to talk about the struggles and the hardships of aging with other women and share our journeys and help other women through theirs.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So what I hope to do, I love this subject. I love what Nancy and Marilyn have been doing for years. Okay. And sadly, here in the Midwest, we weren't even aware of all of it. But now we got to make it a bigger picture. So what I would love to do with the two of you wonderful ladies is maybe in another month, have you back. Let's talk about the retreat, because you said you're on your 5th week or your 5th class in the retreat.
Our course.
Okay. So let's talk about that full course. Okay.
All right.
How people, how they found you, some of the feedback, and what changes you might be making along the way. because everything evolves. We're not the same that we were a year or two ago, and especially because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We're never going to be the same.
Mhm.
But Nancy, you made me laugh today.
Mm.
Marilyn, I didn't think I could giggle as much as my body was today. And you brought out another side of Barbara, which I love, because typically on the rant, and Barbara, don't get mad at me for saying this,
No, I
she's
won't.
very adamant about it. But
Fine.
now she sees that, you know what? We have to laugh at some of the things that happen along the way.
Oh, of course.
And I love it.
Well, absolutely. Yes.
Well, Barbara is a warrior woman. I
Yes,
mean,
she
when
is.
I read about her and all of her accomplishments and what she's doing, and I cannot believe you're 85, Barbara. That is just
That
astounding.
is, did you say, is she?
85.
Yes.
Is that?
And I'm very
that?
fortunate I'm 85 because I get to, live with all the, pain, being a cancer survivor and so many survivor of the industry.
Right.
And still in it, and
Yeah.
still hoping to go more in it. No, I think what you're both doing, your voices are just so important.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Karen always, allowing me to have a voice and it's important. And the reason that I am willing to make an ass out of myself and to scream and holler and so forth and so on and do shows is because I really do hope that the next planet, the next culture, that women, besides having the rights we do have, will be proud of their age.
Absolutely.
I have
That's the important.
friends who are only in their
Oh, yeah.
60s who are just upset about being in their 60s. I don't understand.
Me
it.
too. Me too.
Yeah,
Well, that's what our course is designed to combat. And I think
excited.
with this course that we are just finishing up next week, I think we have successfully
Mm.
empowered
Mhm.
these women to really own their age and celebrate it and not be fearful about the advancing years.
Mhm.
I love it.
Mhm.
Well, we'll keep this discussion going. I want to wish you all a great up and coming Mother's Day.
Thank you.
We all deserve to celebrate in any way that we choose to celebrate. And I'm going to celebrate waving my son goodbye. So
Well, that's going to be a little hard for you.
yes, it
You can
is.
handle
It
it.
is.
You can handle it.
But you know what? It's part of the journey.
Yes,
So
it is.
I'm looking forward to it, and we will all talk soon. Have a great
Okay.
day.
Karen, thank you, Barbara.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Karen
Bye-bye.
and Nancy and Marilyn, love meeting you.
Oh, you too. Well, let's get together. You and
Yes,
I.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll be
Take
emailing.
care.